Fake news, shooby-dooby-dooby-doo. Fake news, shooby-dooby-dooby-doo. Fake news, shooby-dooby-doo-boo. Shooby-dooby-dooby. Fake news, shooby-dooby-dooby-doo. Fake news, shooby-dooby-dooby-doo. Fake news, shooby-dooby-doo-boo. Shooby-dooby-dooby-bomb. Well, hello Murray.
Hello, dear.
How the devil are you?
Yeah, I feel absolutely fantastic today.
Really? What have you been doing today then?
Absolutely nothing, which is why I feel fantastic.
Excellent.
So I had a glorious lie-in, nice cup of coffee, and here we are now shooting yet another instalment of our wonderful videos.
So that's why universal basic income would come in really handy, wouldn't it? Because then you can just do nothing, potentially.
Well, potentially is exactly it, because they do say that with UBI, and we will explain what UBI is in a second.
Universal basic income.
Or citizens' income, as it's also known. They do say that given the opportunity, most people will actually carry out meaningful activities.
Yes.
And one could say that work, which people consider to be meaningful, to give meaning to one's life, actually gets in the way of carrying out actually meaningful activities.
Yes, we live in a culture that there is this a part of the Protestant work ethic asserts that all work is meaningful, and meaningful in a positive way, so that work is the primary means by which you achieve self-fulfillment, self-advancement, and any sense of self-respect. And this is, of course, complete bollocks.
It's absolute.
Because, I mean, can you imagine you're on a 0 hours contract, and you're reliant, because your local economy is just a bit crap, you're reliant on delivering pizzas for both your income and your sense of self-worth and social status. And there's nothing wrong with, delivering pizzas, but, if that's all you've done for like 12 and a half years or something, then actually I would imagine that's quite meaningless, or at least it wouldn't fulfill me anyway.
There was a time in the 50s, 60s and 70s where you could get a fundamentally decent job, even if it was in a factory, or you would become senior having worked most of your life and you end up working with one company, or it's the case where you could go from one job to another job quite easily. And we don't have that anymore. That's not the world that we live in. There's two aspects to why UBI should be quite important, and that is one, a lot of the manufacturing jobs in this country have gone overseas, and that's taken not only the menial graft jobs, which kept the country going, but that's also decimated the middle classes as well.
The precariat.
Who are now the precariat, who go from year to year with their yearly contracts, wondering whether they're going to be working anymore after that.
Who are all desperately trying to continue paying their mortgage and all of their loans, while
incredibly high mortgages,
while sort of still maintaining their subscriptions to things that make their life enjoyable, like Sky Sports and going out
and two holidays
a year and all that sort of business. The thing is, okay, so work. Humans do seem to need work to feel satisfied. So work does have meaning. And the experience where they've actually trialled UBI is that rather than everyone just sort of like staying at home and vegetating and simply taking their universal basic income, the opposite of that is true, that what it actually does is it makes people much more active in doing much more enjoyable things, including the form of work that they're prepared to take. Because, I mean, think about it, if it stands to reason that if you're in receipt of universal basic income and you don't need to therefore worry about where your next meal is going to come from, then a lot of the stress and the fear associated with, for instance, your negotiations with your employers or potential employers is removed. And so UBI levels the playing field, the balance of power between those who are offering work and those who need to sell their labour in order to survive. So rather than actually making us all lazy zombies, the experience has been completely opposite.
Absolutely. One of the reasons that UBI is currently a hot topic is because I'm sure that, as everyone's aware, the pace of technology is now moving so fast that I personally believe that the biggest round of layoffs ever is going to be occurring in about 5 years' time.
It's over the next 5 years.
Over the next 5 years, and will then exponentially increase. And this will take place in call centres.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. They've got the computer now that can have a conversation. That means that you put two computers together, there's two conversations to be had. So you don't even need to call up to get your insurance sorted out. You basically tell your computer that you need insurance. That computer then talks to the insurance's computer, and there's no need for human interaction in any way, shape or form.
Can the viewers be certain that we're not computers talking to each other?
Can we be certain that everything that's happening here is not a hologram? No, we can't, but it is highly unlikely.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel reassured.
I'm not a bot, dude. UBI has many interesting facets to it. The main one is that everybody gets it, regardless of whether they're working or not.
Yes.
It's not means tested, and it's the same for everybody who's over 18 years of age.
Yes.
This makes it a very simple way of disseminating money. Now, with unemployment rising, what we're going to find is that the tax base for unemployment benefits is going to be diminishing. Right, and this is going to lead to a major crisis in itself. So who's going to be paying for the state and the government if no one's working? No one's working, no one's paying tax, nothing's actually happening. And what this fundamentally means is that UBI cannot come out of tax money.
Okay, indeed. In which case, the big question then becomes, how can it be afforded? I think the affordability argument is a spurious one.
Absolutely.
Because we don't have any problems creating shed loads of money to support those who have already got shed loads of money. But also, there are many, many benefits to actually taking that existential threat away from people's lives. So that, for instance, by providing them with a guaranteed income. One of them is health. One of the side effects of a society that pays UBI is that ill health and the need to provide health services reduces. That stress of doing all of that work just to make your finances work completely goes out the window. That basically people become a lot healthier, and actually psychologically become healthier as well. So it's really. This is one of the things. I think that UBI, if I remember, was actually trialled in the Punjab in India, and this was actually one of the measurable responses of its introduction.
Well, UBI can also be referred to as quantitative easing for the people. If you imagine, and this is something that I know annoys you greatly, is that the government gives quantitative easing to banks in order to give to firms, but that's not what happened. What has happened is that the banks have taken the quantitative easing money and they've put it into assets.
Yes.
Which has created massive asset bubbles.
But indeed, the banks couldn't lend because basically they were insolvent, and so they needed the money in order to boost their balance sheets. But secondly, there was if you look out in the British economy, pretty much everyone is up to their eyeballs in debt.
Yep.
So there aren't actually that many people that you can responsibly lend to in the first place.
One of the great benefits of UBI is that, now I'd probably work UBI out as the poverty level at the moment. So if everyone was getting £1,160 per month via UBI, people would be arresting their debt and saving with a significant part of that. And what that would do is prevent inflation. It's a reciprocal relationship between the two.
Okay. I think it would be a while before saving rates would increase. Saving rates at the moment are at historically low levels.
Yeah, the reason for that is because people don't earn enough money to live, and the reason that debt is so high is because people are burning off the money that they've earned, which isn't enough, and then using the credit card to get the weekly shopping. Yeah,
but it's also
UBI would
because
that instantaneously.
But there's also no incentive to save because interest rates are piss poor.
This is true, but if you go to a financial investor, you can take your excess money and you can invest that professionally. However, most people can't raise £500 tomorrow. So what you and I are talking about is not an illness, but a malaise, that has affected the entire population. We are not saving because interest rates are so low. We are not saving because no one has any money.
Oh, okay. So 97.4% of the money supply is debt. If the interest rate on that debt is higher than something like, I think it's 2.5, 2.6%, then the interest that the banks are charging on that debt is greater than the rest of the money, that's in the economy.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're making a claim on us, admittedly over time, on money that does not yet exist.
Yeah.
The mechanism is also another enormous transfer of wealth from people like you and me, the productive part of the economy, transferring wealth to the financial sector, which is almost invariably unproductive, where they don't make anything.
No service or goods are
other than money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so the money thing becomes like a self-fueling process, which then destroys the rest of the economy.
Yeah.
And so, the question is, some economists, and I remember Evan Davis on Newsnight a couple of years ago was sort of saying that, or asking whether UBI was affordable. Well, I would argue that given where we're at with the debt thing, is not doing UBI affordable, because
That's
the
exactly how I
debt
feel
is
about it.
completely unsustainable. We are in a hole that we can't get out of unless we increase the proportion of money in the money supply that's created by the state. But the way that UBI has initially, quantitative easing for the people that you were talking. I mean, this was a phrase coined by Steve Keen, who's an economist that I think we both like.
Yeah,
actually.
I think he's a fantastic guy.
Basically, the first phase of UBI would be about issuing certificates to people, which would effectively be new money, which could only be used to pay off debt.
So now I think one of the greatest things about UBI from my perspective is I have something that I like to call UBI time. What will you do with your time if you don't actually have to work? And I believe that one of the most popular pastimes will actually be learning and education.
Okay.
I believe that people want to study. Now you can mock somebody who studies the history of art because people don't feel that it's creative. But if somebody wants to study the history of art, that I call that productive and meaningful time because it's in study. Most people will probably do, right, in order to compensate for the fact that technology will be taking our jobs away, right, is to actually train up in trades.
People have been forced because of this really pernicious austerity agenda to focus exclusively on meaningless work that's offered now, without actually there being any sort of sense of strategic thinking about the future, or actually the sort of lives that people might actually want to live. You're right in that when you're sort of struggling, your whole strategic view of living completely goes out the window, and your whole focus is about surviving the next week, the next month. And this is bad for us because it means that when artificial intelligence really kicks in and these thousands and thousands of jobs all disappear, millions, we won't be in a position where we as a society can adapt to the new economic challenges. So I completely agree with you on that. So, to sort of round off, because we could go on about this forever and ever, the really big obstacle to UBI, and perhaps we should talk about this next time, are the power interests that will actually lose a lot of their power over us if we don't have to scrabble around for the crumbs in an ever sort of more stressful and manic employment market. There are powerful interests that would not want us to go for UBI. The banking system probably is one of them. But there are many organisations that were, vested interests that would not want us to go down the UBI route because it will reduce their power relative to us.
Absolutely.
And I think perhaps we should talk about that the next time, because getting a campaign together about promoting UBI and its benefits must also necessarily consider the power situation, because otherwise those who are campaigning for UBI, as soon as that campaign becomes credible, it will be slagged off by certain interests in the media. So anyway, till next time.
Till next time.
Bye.